When the president talks about something 3 times in a row, the chances that becomes a policy, if not the rule, are 100%. And right now we are back in the news because of NSSF Uganda, which is celebrating 40 years of existence. A milestone that is worth celebrating until you look at the numbers. When you think about 40 years of NSSF, you can see their total assets under management per their digest is close to 32 trillion as of December 2025. So you look at an institution that has grown enormously big amongst the poor people. NSSF right now, I believe it's the biggest financial institution in Uganda. It's managing over 30 trillion. It's the best employer, one of the best employer, if not. The assets, the funds, the savers people they have are enormous. If you look at them in aggregate, until you look at them in detail. The fact that up to now, the President Museveni is still calling for NSSF to fund some infrastructure projects directly to be owned by NSSF. It doesn't matter what the return on investment is. It doesn't matter what the social impact will be, especially to the greater people who serve with NSSF. All it matters that it seems this is one thing he wants to happen, and the chances that it will happen are almost certain. Yet the details are in the devil is in the details. When the president wrote the foreword for the NSSF digest for July, he said he would want NSSF to fund Kampala Jinja Expressway and make it a toll road, a road that should be used by the wealthy to pay a fee to use them and to avoid the traffic jam. So something like that, you would believe it's going to benefit, of course, the savers, but most importantly, it will ease the work for the wealthy and the rich. The challenge in Uganda, every time we are planning, we plan for the wealthy. We never plan for the poor people. We never plan for the lower middle income people. Yet these are the majority. Yet these are the people who make the majority of the NSSF savers. Before I even go into the details, you would want to think that infrastructure, especially the roads project, are the biggest needs of the savers. I didn't say the macroeconomy, the government, but the savers. Yet for so many years, we have been calling NSSF to take a more frontal role, a more proactive role in solving the housing crisis, the mortgage crisis. But it has been sitting back because of the return on investment when it comes to real estate, but too, the headache they end up getting when they do real estate. Yet somehow, somewhere, majority of the 3 million plus savers are still renting. Yet, majority of the 3 million savers have nowhere. They have less and less hope every single day of owning their own home. Yet somehow, somewhere, their NSSF savings are just seated waiting for now the government to just tap into something as enormous as that. Before we go into the statistics, you have to pay attention to one thing. NSSF is not successful because their managers are incredible managers. Of course, they are amazing leaders. But it's not like they have innovated something. They are implementers. NSSF Uganda is the only mandatory pension fund for the private sector. So, of course, as many people get employed, many people will start contributing to NSSF. If you are an amazing leader like Mr. Patrick and you strengthen compliance, of course your assets under management will grow. Of course your investments will grow depending on where you put them. But it's not so much because all of a sudden they have created an innovative product that has seen them to increase their assets under management from as low as 20 million to over 30 trillion. No. It's because more and more people are saving the little they have mandatorily. When the law was changed in 2022 that mandated that every single company that is employing someone, even if you employ one single person, you have to contribute NSSF. From the original law, which required a minimum of 5 people, it brought more companies and more employers and more employees into the bracket to contribute their pension. At one point, there was a call to liberalize the mandatory pension savings, to open it up to the private sector, to open it up to other competitors, that someone can choose where they can put their mandatory contribution. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. But when you look at where we are going, especially when we start looking at the martial laws and the things, how they are being done, you wonder if truly how many savers would want to leave their money in NSSF. If the policy, the investment policy that is going to now be dictating to the greater extent what NSSF does will be done at State House. This is not a dig to the country that we do not need the infrastructure projects. We absolutely need them. We absolutely need the Kampala-Jinja Expressway. We need the Standard Gauge Railway. But the policy on why NSSF should invest savers' money, this is not government money. This is ordinary people's money. The reason they would need that, it should be driven by the return on investment for the savers, and the return on investment that is quantifiable in the savings they are making. Unfortunately, right now the government has put its eyes on this big fund in a way that it should ease the pain the government is going through to make sure it provides the infrastructure that is needed for the development of this country. An infrastructure that we know as a country we need. The numbers do not lie. NSSF right now has an active member of 1.9 million. Less than 2 million. In Uganda, the adult population is more than 20 million. People who are in a working bracket. The people who are actively saving and saving with NSSF are less than 2 million. At least per their digest. But even if we stretch it to, let's say, to 3 million. Of the population of 50 million people, with the population that is above 18 years, above 25 million, that means less than 15% is saving with NSSF. That means the country's pension system is so weak and so vulnerable that many people, when they do retire, they have almost nothing to fall back to. Oh yes, 1.2 million people are the ones saving with men, the ones saving with NSSF. 700,000 people are the females as of December 2025. Over 42% of members have less than 1 million in NSSF. Over 42%. Let's take a step back to understand which kind of money the government wants to tap into. Out of 2 million savers, 42%, which comes to close to 800,000 people, have less than 1 million with NSSF. If they truly have less than 1 million in NSSF, ask yourself, how much do they have in for themselves? If their mandatory contribution is less than 1 million. There is one person with NSSF, one. Hey, they have 9.5 billion. The majority of Ugandans saving with NSSF, more than 1.5 million people don't have more than 30 million. with NSSF. Their needs, and not to downplay the needs of what government is raising, is not another better road that will be told and made for the rich. Their needs will not be another amazing infrastructure that they will never use, but being used for the development of the country. Quote me very well. I'm not saying we do not need the development. We absolutely need the infrastructure. But the government should not force NSSF savings into development of its road tolls. That's mandate of the government. What is going to be the return on investment that is justifiable? What is the inflated figure? Why not solve what the NSSF savers truly need and desire? How many NSSF savers cannot afford a mortgage? How many NSSF savers are renting in dilapidated housing? We know when NSSF started doing the project in Temangalo, the housing project, which was followed, came after the Solana estate in Lubowa. We knew the Solana was for the wealthy. The Temangalo has stalled. We thought it was going to be launched in 2024 at a right price that would help many savers to have a chance to own a house. We are in 2026. We are about to enter 2027. There is nothing. Why not use the money for the savers to solve what the savers truly might need? Take a proactive approach. If indeed it's to having social impact. Of course, when it comes to NSSF, it's going to always shine. Why? It's the richest of the entity. It's like when you are in the family of poor people and you are the wealthiest. So wealthy that everything that falls within the family, you are the one to solve it. So wealthy that somehow, somewhere, you become the de facto head of the family. Not because you are the de facto head of the family to solve everything, but because you are the one who has the money. Which money that sometimes might not even be yours. Now NSSF is facing that. Potentially, if the sector had been liberalized to say, let's open it up to other players, NSSF will not be sitting at 32 trillion assets under management. And other innovative players with a little bit of competition would come and would not be so scared to see that our savings are being tapped, all of a sudden they are in a direct firing line. Why not Wazalendo? Majority of the people who make these decisions are army people. Why don't they tap into the Wazalendo circle? It's a wealthy saving circle for the army. Why not tap into that? Why can't they use some of that money to construct some roads? Either way, they are saying the money makes money. Right? Now let's go back to the president. When the president talks about investments, he is advocating, and his advisors are advocating that investing in the road toll is more profitable. It will have a better return on investments than investing in fixed income treasury, especially the treasury bonds. I do not know if the president is talking about return on investment that is quantifiable in numbers or that is qualitative in nature. And what is his backed research? Can he publish that? We hope he will one day publish that. That can ease the pain and the anger that the investors and the savers in NSSF are seeing. But let's talk about treasury bond for a second. 80% of NSSF savings, 80% as of June 2024, no, as of June 2025, is in fixed income, treasury bonds, loans, and deposit. But majority of it is in treasury bond, which we anticipate is close to 15 trillion. This is money lent to the government. The the government borrows money by issuing a treasury bond. NSSF buys that treasury bond. The government has the mandate on how it wants to use that money. Why doesn't the government continue using this style to construct its road? Why should the NSSF savers take on the operation and ownership risk? We want to take on the financial risk. We give NSSF money. But if also the government truly believes the infrastructure projects need to be financed independently, why can't the government issue infrastructure bonds? We know we are going through a Sukuku bond right now that up to now, which was supposed to be issued, a prospectus that was supposed to be issued in April 2026. We are in July. The full prospectus is not yet out. If the infrastructure are so profitable enough, if you issue the infrastructure bond, let NSSF assess it on its viability, financial viability, and invest in it. The same way that you do the infrastructure bonds or the treasury bonds. Then you as the government take on the ownership risk and invest. How much are these infrastructure projects inflated? We absolutely know. Right now we are going through, as a country, we are going through an assessment of the Busega Mpigi Expressway. Almost every engineer that touched that project is right now being arrested. Why? Because of inflated infrastructure projects. The Entebbe Expressway that is being told by the Chinese firm, it was inflated by a tune of over 40-50%. Who is going to bear that risk? The NSSF savers, because we want NSSF to directly invest and own a toll road. A toll road that is going to benefit the wealthy, not the poor people who are saving with NSSF. Not the poor people, but the wealthy people. The toll road that is going to benefit the rich and the powerful and the politicians, who many do not even contribute NSSF because they are public civil servants. But the Mwananchi, the individual people who every single day told to work hard and they contribute the 50,000 because they are paid $1 million as salary, who can't afford a decent housing, who are going to work for 20-30 years and before they even can afford a house, we cannot direct their resources into something like affordable housing. Why? Are we doing NSSF to benefit the non-NSSF people or the few? Or are we always going to design our country's policies, even on money that belongs to the poor people, to benefit the wealthy, who can afford everything? Either way, they are the wealthy people. When you create a toll road, there are those who can afford it. But even if you don't create a toll road, they have the big cars, they have the sirens, that even if they are to move, they don't feel the potholes. They sleep comfortable. When it rains, it doesn't rain at theirs. This NSSF saver is the person that should be planned for. Now, when I'm calling for what NSSF is going through, I'm not in any way questioning the ability of NSSF leadership to do what is right. But I'm questioning the self-seeking politicians that all of a sudden have put their eyes to our money as savers in NSSF. Saving with NSSF wasn't a choice. We did not wake up and they told us that one day we agree we can save with NSSF. We had no choice. For as long as you get employed with a company, it had to save you. And of course, that pension is needed. My everyday worry is to say, when I retire, what will I have? So the pension sector is extremely important in this economy. In an economy where a majority of the people are working in the informal sector. And in an economy where a majority of the people are in the agricultural sector. In an economy where a majority of the people earn less than 5,000 a day. So the pension sector is absolutely needed. But let's not use the self-seeking politicians that all of a sudden are advising the president that NSSF now has so much money that it must invest in an infrastructure project. The Kampala-Jinja Expressway, even if its costs end up, let's say, in a 5 trillion, or 4 trillion, or 3 trillion, that is already 10% of NSSF assets under management as of today. 10%. It's substantial. We look at countries like Tanzania, where their pension NSSF was constructed a bridge. Now, of course, it's always good to look at some of those. We look at Kenya, where the NSSF Kenya is constructing that highway, the Rironi Highway. NSSF Kenya actually published a report. It's going to take them close to 25 years before they recoup their capital. That is recouping their capital. In Tanzania, their estimate was 30 years. So we are about to put 10% of NSSF's money, of NSSF savers' money, into something that might take 20 years to recoup the capital. Anything you invest in and it takes 20 years to recoup the capital, that sometimes even benefits the wealthy, not the savers. Your return on investment is on average 3%, 2% before compounding. But the chief investment officer and the leadership and the commercial officer and the leadership, everyone at NSSF potentially knows this. Do they have the will and the power to fight back on the monster that is encroaching on their road? Do they have the power to fight back on what is coming? Because what will stop them on if they choose to give in? If NSSF Uganda chooses to give in right now on the Kampala-Jinja Expressway, what will stop the government from asking it more to construct the other toll roads? What? Either way, this government, this country is in dire need of significant infrastructure. We have the Standard Gauge Rail. We have the oil pipeline. How many other toll roads does the government need? What will stop this government to say no? No. Either way, you have been successful and you have the more money, because this is not money that NSSF all of a sudden is creative, it's enterprising, that it's creating so much revenue. No, this is more people saving their hard-earned money with NSSF forcefully. I don't know how many people would choose to have an alternative if it was given to us. No wonder why majority of the people, every time they clock the 45 years of age, they choose to take their 20%. When they clock the 55 years of age, they take their savings out. The political risk to NSSF's savings money is becoming extremely high. In an economy where the membership is just 3.4 million, but the active members are less than 2 million. Less than 10% of the total population are members of NSSF. Of course, NSSF recently set out a Vision 2035 with the target of 80 trillion assets under management. Ambitious target. Originally, their target was 50 trillion, which was set up by the previous MD's leadership. Now it has been revised to 80 trillion. When you are the wealthy among the poor people, you will face such problems. So it's extremely painful that even as the president continues to publish these reports that calls out NSSF to start investing in an infrastructure projects like the Kampala-Jinja Expressway, I do not know if they are preparing us for that or if they have already even made it so that they are going to do that. They are waiting for the feasibility study. We shall wait. May we be bold enough to ask these questions. When you talk about return on investment, what is the unexpected return on investment? Maybe we cannot stop the Kampala-Jinja Expressway going through. Maybe we shall. But if we ask the right questions and get the answers, they will create the benchmark to stop other catastrophes that will come in 10 years from now. Like some said on Twitter, one of the issues that happened with the cleaning drive was to see how far the government can implement martial law. Maybe this is also the same case, that if this goes through and we have no ability to stop it, it's going to come down to how much can the government implement these absurd policies that target people's savings. I beg to submit.